Hi, Felicia. Thank you so much for taking the time for us in this episode. I really appreciate it. How are you doing today?
I am doing well. Aloha. How are you?
Yeah, doing absolutely fine. Super excited to for another episode. So, I know you are a life coach. So, for our audience, we have like a question before you becoming a life coach. How was your life like? Like, what you used to do, and what made you actually become a life coach?
Yes. So one of the things that I've learned is that you're usually already doing what it is your sole
Yeah.
purpose is. And so I was a leader in various industries from government to retail to higher education. And
Hmm.
so, but while I was being a leader in those positions, I was also asking questions and developing my people.
Yeah.
That was my style. I would be, hey, what are your aspirations? Do you want my job? Because I'm planning on leaving in a couple years. So let's get you
Right.
prepared to do all of that.
Yeah.
And so those were the things that coaches do, right? They ask those questions. They, encourage their people to ascend and grow. I started my sevenfold coaching business, however, full time in 2000, what was that, 18, 19? But I
Right.
started in 2016 part time.
Yeah.
And so it's been a wonderful journey. And now I'm basically coaching people in the areas that I wish when I was there I would have a coach as well.
Yeah, that's interesting journey. So you've been like started about 5 years now. So last 3 years,
Yep.
like you're doing full time.
Hmm.
And what do you
Indeed.
work with? Like, do you have any targeted audience you especially work with, or like you tend to work with everyone?
Yeah. So before I would have said mostly like modern women in the
Yeah.
sense of because that was me, that was my experience in that I was, working a full-time job. I was also having aspirations of having my, own business, but yet
Right.
frustrated, raising kids, also dealing with, parents and all those different things and also coming from a Christian background, the
Hmm.
expectations of being the Proverbs 31 woman who basically was beautiful. Her kids thought she was blessed. She was, making money, buying land, getting up early, doing all those things. Well, what happens when you're doing a good job?
Yeah.
And so I was dealing with the inner imposter. So basically, I help individuals that are struggling with that self doubt. They're successful, but they
Right.
disregard that success. They have that chronic negative feedback with
Yeah.
that. And so I basically then help people to feel as though they've lost their mojo. They might have been going, I'm like, well, where am I at now? What am I doing? Why am I doing this?
Hmm.
And so I help them ask those questions to get them back on their track to successful ascension.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. Like, did you always know like you become a coach one day, or like it just all of a sudden it
No,
happened? Like one day you realize, no, this is something I need to do.
no, it was not. Actually, I thought I was going to have a marketing job. My degree was initial
Mhm.
degree, undergrad degree was in marketing. So I thought I was going to have this marketing job in New York, live
Yeah.
in Jersey, in the East Coast, and just go forth. And that is when my life, I thought what I had planned out didn't go in that line. That's when I had my point of because I was frustrated. I was like,
Yeah.
this is not what I thought. So that's what set me on the journey to live smart because my name means happy, but I
Yeah.
wasn't happy. I was like, oh, a girl is not happy. So I had to go figure out, okay, you heard the phrase work smarter, not harder. Had done that for years. I then came to the phrase of, okay, Felicia, it's time for you to live smart. So I had to go on
Right.
that journey to figure out what that was. So
Yeah.
no, I didn't always think I was going to be a coach or anything like that. But like you said, the struggles that you go through helps you to be able to coach others.
Yeah, it just it lead you to a different direction, isn't it? Like I had no clue, like I'm going to do the podcast or something like that. It just happened all of a sudden. So 10 years back, I had no clue, like I'm going to interview guests like yourself or like so many amazing people I'm interviewing right now. So it just like
Yes.
it's a different thing, and I wouldn't say it's like a dream come true because it's never been a dream. So I had no clue this thing does exist at that time. So yeah, well, life leads you is a different path all the time. Which leads to
Yeah.
like today's topic, which you really passionate and you really want to talk about, which is how to live smart. So when you mean by like the how to live smart, we tend to use the phrase mostly on a work where like don't work hard, work smart. But how
Mm-hmm.
do you phrase the thing when you're living your life, like how to live smart? What does it actually mean?
Yes, so it is definitely an acronym. Most people are familiar with SMART goals in the business
Yeah.
world, like specific, measure, action, relate, time about. And like I said, having been in that business world doing those things is very much familiar with that.
Hmm.
Then that next phrase, like you said, work smarter, not harder. So grew up with the expectation of always having to be on your A game, getting A's, you got to be smart.
Yeah.
Heck, my nickname was Brain. I mean, so that gives you some idea of what the expectation was. But I realized I found myself being a human doing versus a human being.
Right.
And that's where I became overwhelmed because I was working so hard, but I wasn't taking time out to live smart. So it's like, okay, how can I do this efficiently? How can I do this better? And so that's where it came to be this system. So the first one is see yourself and awaken.
Hmm.
Like I was sharing before, who is Felicia?
Yeah.
Why are you not happy? Where my name literally means happy. Most people are very familiar with the whole phrase by Felicia, but that's from that movie Friday. And Ice Cube made that very popularized. But what people didn't really know if they hadn't seen the movie is that Felicia just was this drug addict, and
Right.
she was always being dismissed. That's why they were saying bye. I was like, go away.
Yeah.
But I was like, I didn't want to be dismissed. I'm not that perception. I don't do drugs and all those different things. And so that used to be a trigger for me.
Hmm.
So I had to figure out, whoa, who are you, Felicia? Like, okay, your name means happy. So basically, if anybody's saying bye, Felicia, all they're saying is bye, happy. But that
Right.
sent me on a journey to learn more about what are your character values? What are your strengths?
Yeah.
What does your name, mean in numerology, astronomy? Like find out more about who you are so that no one can take that away from you. You have the confident knowing. So that's where the see yourself and awaken comes from.
Yeah.
The M is master your emotions. I had to learn how to master mine. If those you're not being able to see me, I am an African American female. So I had to come up with these expectations that you always have to be in your A game. You always have to be doing things well. The emotions, you would squash those. So, like, just say if I was angry, I would squash it because I didn't want to be categorized as the mad Black woman.
Hmm.
So, you would just kind of get like a poker face. I also have a military background that I grew up with, and it was about not so much your emotions, but let's focus on the goal, right?
Yeah.
You got to achieve that. You got to put the flag on the mountain. You got to keep it moving. You don't have time for emotions. You don't have time for all that. Just get the job done. And so I had to realize that, hey, what are you feeling in this moment? And learning to put words to that. Are you angry? Are you frustrated? Are you bored? Are you envious, jealous, fearful,
Yeah.
doubtful? Learn to know what I was feeling. So then that way I can know how to interact and engage and be true to who I am, which is Felicia, see yourself and awaken.
Yeah.
Then I had to learn how to ask, believe, and receive myself. And what that means is that a lot of times when you ask somebody, well, what do you want? They don't tell you what they want. They'll start with the
Hmm.
explanation of what they don't want.
Right.
And it was like, well, Felicia, what do you want? Because you remember I tell you, like I had this whole vision of what I thought my life was going to be, and it's different. So, what do you want right now? But then, do you believe you can receive it? That's where the whole imposter syndrome will come in. Like, do
Yeah.
you really think that you can have this career? Do you really think you can, have this life that you're envisioning, that you're asking for? But you're like, oh, but that'll never happen. So I had to learn how to receive the things. Like, yes, pause, say thank you. I'm absolutely worthy of having those things. Yes, I can do that. So I had to learn how to navigate all of
Yeah.
that, right? And then the next one, I had to learn how to relax, relate, and
Hmm.
release. That was a message that was loud and clear for me back from the show, Different World, because it was like I said, I was busy doing, working,
Yeah.
working, 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 and I had to learn how to relax. And that includes, meditations, like what that looks like for me, because it looks like different things for a lot to
Hmm.
for everyone,
Yeah.
right? I had to learn how to look at the whole big picture of what this life, what does this mean? What does this sign mean? I keep saying this, I keep saying that. It must be something to that. And then I had to learn to release some things, which means from forgiveness, forgiving myself, forgiving others, what was no longer serving me. I had to figure all that out.
Right.
So then that way I can live this life that's smart.
Yeah.
And then finally, the talk wisely. It would be amazing the words that you would say, the words I would say to myself. And it was like, would you really say that to anyone else? Or the words that were keeping me from receiving the things that I want. For
Yeah.
example, School of Yoda, trying. There is no try. It's do or do not. Trying is a struggle mode. If you literally look up the word trying, it means difficult or hard to endure.
Mm.
So put whatever it is that you want in front of, I'm trying to lose weight. I'm trying to go back to school. I'm trying to get my podcast off the ground. You're speaking struggle into your
Yeah.
situation. So I had to learn how to listen to those words, like can't, should, trying. Those are all low energy vibe words. So put all that together. Live smart is the acronym. It's the quick way of like, okay, Felicia, are you living smart right now in this moment? It helped me to trigger to like, okay, yes, no, what do I need to do? Am I
So
talking
it's
wise? Because
basically
I'm
an
not
asking
believing.
question, right?
Asking
Is
questions, which is what I
yeah.
do. Are you living
So
smart?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone life is different, and they probably different space in everyone. Some people struggling with the business, some people dealing with the relationship, some people dealing with some children problems. So they
Yep.
can ask them certain question to resonate with their current situation to living smart. Yeah.
Exactly. And the living smart, like you said, it applies to any area.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's not business, personal. I'm like, are you living smart right now in this moment? And then you can process maybe one of those areas where it
Mm.
is that you need to tweak in order to make that happen.
Yeah.
And so that is what I encourage and inspire people, to do. Is connected, with my background. And it's like, and it's a question. Live smart. It's a question and a statement.
Yeah.
It's like live smart. And are you living smart? Like,
So when did you start actually asking them question to yourself, like, am I living smart? And how did it trigger you?
yeah, it actually, because when you become this coach and you're thinking about what is it that you're coaching and how do you help people, I was doing all those individual things,
Yeah.
but it was like, how do you remember them in the heat of the moment, especially when you're frustrated or something like that? It's like, and I realized that was a way that people can remember things, or acronyms. And they have certain things, the people I work with, they're very familiar with, like the SMART goals and all that. So it's
Mm.
like, okay, and work smarter. So it's like, now give them something that's familiar and then just put those phrases to that. And so that's all I did, was just take those things and say, okay, that, yes, this is what I'm doing. What's a short sentence for that? What's a short sentence
Yeah.
for that? And that's how Live Smart came about. Um, so it's like, I've always done it, but you know how it is, marketing
Yeah.
background, you just kind of put it together. You're like, oh yeah, I heard Live Smart. Now I can just easily relate that to other individuals, or what that means.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So those who's listening, like, let's say they're struggling with some different aspect of their life, if they wants to implement the same method, like how you using it with your life, living smart, how someone can get started with this?
Yes. Well, the first thing would be, starting on the journey, is learn more about who you are. And that's why they see yourself and awaken to that.
Hmm.
Because just having clarity, for example, your name. Do you know what your name means?
Mine?
Mm-hmm.
No, not sure.
Yes. And so think about how old you are right now. You don't have to say it out loud, but just think about, the words have power, they have
Yeah.
meaning. There is a meaning to your name. So, like, for example, the vibration of my name that was speaking was happiness.
Right.
So when you know more about who you are, what does that mean? Your name.
Hmm.
Matter of fact, like, now I'm curious because let's see. So RASEL, name meaning. Let's see. I'm all about doing this right here in the moment. Okay. So it's an Arabic Muslim boy name, which means most powerful.
Okay.
So now it's like, wow. And you're like, hi, Roselle. And you're like, wow, hi, most powerful. So it's like you're taking that on, you're thinking that and speaking that. Then
Hmm.
it goes to the next step. Now you can, if your parents are still living or anything, like, how did y'all come to Roselle? Like, what was,
Yeah.
so you're learning, you're awakening to more of who you are.
Yeah.
Oh, they'd be like, oh, this is what happened, this story about this, or, we named you after this, or this had just happened. This. So as you learn more about yourself, that means that confidence, that sureness, that knowing builds you to help you to ascend to higher levels. See,
Yeah.
and that took all of 10 seconds for me to do that. But just like you, there are lots of people that have no idea what their name means.
Yeah.
None.
Sure.
I remember having an individual that did not like their name. It was like, oh, I never really, it doesn't suit me. I don't really like it. But
Yeah.
then when we looked up the meaning, all of a sudden it was like, oh, is that what it means? Uh-huh. Oh,
That makes it interesting, right?
right.
Yeah.
So that means you love yourself a little
Yeah.
more. And so that's how you can simply get started. That didn't cost a thing, didn't take 2 minutes. But then,
Hmm.
like I said, it's going to take you to the next journey and the next journey and the next journey and learning more about, oh, what else do I need to know about who I am? So that's how you can get started, just right there, a Google search.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So then what would be the next step for living the smart? Like you figuring like who you are, your name and everything. That boosted yourself on self-confidence, I guess. And
Yes.
then what will be like a next step in order to fix the problem or situation you have or the change you need to make in your life in order to
Yeah.
move forward?
Very oftentimes it's that it's the master your emotions. Many times people are in a frustrated, as they say, situation, or not knowing, unsure, felt as though they've lost their mojo,
Yeah.
but they're not even in tune to what their feelings are. So that's where we usually go into a discussion about the emotional scale. It's
Hmm.
like for the next, I at least say like 3 days, ask yourself, here's another question, what am I feeling right now? And then as you're
Right.
looking at the various emotions on the scale, you can kind of see, well, I'm bored, I'm excited, I'm anxious, I'm
Yeah.
fearful. Just see what feelings you are feeling throughout the day. And you don't have to, at that time, evaluate anything. Just look at the word, when am I, write it down.
Hmm.
And then you'll take those couple of days and you'll evaluate, well, what happened in those 3 days? Do I notice that I'm at a certain set point of those 3 days?
Right.
If you're just constantly bored, then that could lead to the question of, well, what is it that you, which is to ask, believe, and see, what is it that you
Yeah.
want? If you don't like where you're at emotionally and what you're feeling, what is it that you want? And see, that leads to the more exploration, that leads to the more see yourself and to awaken who you are. Maybe that's why you're feeling bored over the last 3 days, is because you really don't enjoy your job and you really have aspirations to be a podcaster.
Yeah.
So it's like you're going to these deeper explorations about that. And so it's literally going through those steps. Does it always have to go in order? No. What you'll usually find is that sometimes it's what's really, really stressing you at that
Hmm.
moment. And so that's where it's a personal case, it's an individual case.
Yeah.
Um, because I even found that as a coach, it's not a set program. That's why it's not something that I was like have recorded videos and go through this, and because it's asking those questions, it's observing, it's the intuitiveness of knowing, be like, okay, this person, I'm sensing this, and I can ask that one question, and that send them off into their whole exploration journey of like, oh wow, okay, that's what I needed.
Yes. It's like everyone is different. They're doing their own thing and they're on their own journey on a different situation. So some people
Yes.
can take the action to make the changes. Sometimes it's not in their hand. Probably they're with the spouse and everything. They're not going to make immediate changes. Some people are living with under their parents' roof, and it's not easy to make the change straight away. Probably needs to ask permission and go through certain steps in order to do what they need to do. So those
Mm-hmm.
who's like can't make the changes, have the obstacle, and no immediate action not be taken, what can they do in order to achieve this living smart living?
Yes. So I think the phrase is that can't,
Yeah.
because if you feel like you can't make the changes, that's where what are you thinking about? What are you talking wisely?
Mm,
You work on that word of releasing the word can't.
right.
Right there, that's where they can personally start, is releasing that verb. You can release
Can't.
the apostrophe, release the T. I can't.
Yeah.
So that's where, when you start doing that, see, you've already done it. You've
Yeah.
already overcome where you say, I can't do that, I can't do this. So it's like what you continue to focus on is what you bring about.
Hmm.
So it becomes, okay, what can you do?
Yeah.
Because like you say, go back to just learn more about yourself. You can do a Google search. You can learn more about who you are. You can, what does your name mean? Numerology. What does, like, all those different things. There are things that you can do. Focus
Hmm.
on that. Because a lot of times too, people look at it externally. Whatever the
Yeah.
problems or frustration that you may think, I can't do this, I can't do that, more than likely it's something that you're looking at outside of you.
Yeah.
The Live Smart is saying, look in the inside of you, look internally, because this is what you absolutely have control over, that you can work through, that you can start right now. You don't have to wait on anybody else.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. That's an interesting way to look at. So we need to focus on the positive outcome rather than like a negative way. So
Mm-hmm.
instead of saying no to it, say yes, I can and I will, and find a solution for that, right?
Exactly. And just be open
Yeah.
to that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So oftentimes we use the smart word on business uh, all the time, like
Mm-hmm.
to find a way to do the work smart way rather than hard way. So it's like a finding a shortcut. So in terms of like a living the life on smart, do you think like doing a less is a smart way living? Like not chasing big dreams, not big outcomes, and just live it like a simple life, or like achieve more same way and have like your life simple as possible? How do you
It's
define that?
it's individualized.
Yeah.
It's no set answer, because you may want a quote unquote, we're defining as simple.
Hmm.
There's someone else that could be in another capacity, and they're high energy, high vibe, and like, yeah, I want to do it, and I can totally handle that.
Yeah.
It is what is Live Smart for you.
Right.
That reminds me of this. There was like this parable of the fisherman and the businessman. There was this guy, he was out fishing, and he just had like a little net, and he was content. And then there's
Hmm.
this business guy comes up to him, he sees it, and he was like, hey, don't you know that, you can have, like, basically like have more nets, and then you can get, workers that can help you, and get more, boats, and do all these different things. And the guy is like, ultimately, like, why would I do that? He's like, oh, you can make all this, loads of money, and
Yeah.
then you can retire and do whatever you want. And the irony of the story is, guys, like, doing all that work and all that is going to bring me right back here to where I want, is having this simple net, enjoying my
Yeah.
life and gathering what I need. So it was like the viewpoint of which one is right. The guy
Individual
was
thing.
already
Yeah.
right. This guy, he was like, I'm living the life I want, simple net fishing. The other guy's like, hey, you can make money and do all these different things, but eventually would have got him back to where he was saying as well, of doing what you want. So
Yeah.
everybody has different, aspirations. So it's simple life. It's just how do you want to live?
And
And then go for that. Hmm.
yeah, as a human, we create the like a norm, to be honest. This is the way you have to live. You have to be simple, or you have to be like showing off and everything. This is the we created. It's not like how everything is started at the beginning. So you're like a businessman, I have to expand and more and going for it. A simple way of living. This is someone who wants to live a simple way. It's totally for like a individual thing. It's like telling a fish you need to swim. So he's going to swim, obviously. He can't really fly to the sky because the how he created. So we have like our own gift, our own power. So according to this one, then we're gonna do what we natural way to do. So finding a like a natural game, like for yourself, let's say you are a life coach, you found your natural way of living. You don't
Mm-hmm.
feel tired, you don't feel like exhausted, like after your work. You feel like I changed someone's life, created some value for other people. Like even with my podcasting, sometimes I work like today I have booked till 8 p.m. I think right now it's like
Mm.
a 3 p.m. Already talked to like a few others from like the 2 o'clock and early morning. I worked on my business. So yeah, just doing like a 12 hours a day. Still like I'm going and I'll be able to do that. And after that, I'm going for the badminton at 8 o'clock till 10 o'clock. Then spend a couple of hours with my wife and my kid.
Mm-hmm.
And still not gonna feel like exhausted because I'm loving what I need to do. Some people
Exactly.
not
It's a
gonna feel
high
like
vibe.
after 2 hours. Yeah, like I used to work in a restaurant before. Like this weekend, I went to see one of my friend, and I was there in a restaurant for like a half an hour. And I thought like I was there for 3 hours. The time went so slow, and I was like, how did I work in a restaurant for like 8 years? And I know,
Mm.
and that going back to the memory, I was like when I used to work 8 hours or 9 hour shift, I felt like I was there for days, if not a month. I felt like a days. The hours used to be so slow. And when I come
Exactly.
back, I was like, I'm so thankful and everything what I'm actually doing right now. Even though I work 12 hours, 14 hours, even though whatever hours I'm gonna do, still I feel like it's just probably 1 or 2 hours I've just worked because I
Yeah,
enjoy what I love doing. So yeah, it's the individual thing for like,
it is. And that's the thing. It wasn't quote unquote work,
hmm yeah,
right?
yeah,
But rather you were living the life that you want to live. And that is a high vibe. That's energy. That is, yes, I'm doing more of this, more of this. And it's exciting. And that's
yeah,
why it doesn't feel like work. But whereas other people, that's where the dis-ease is. It's the separation.
mm,
You're doing somewhere, being somewhere where I'm like, this is not aligning with my soul. And that's why
yeah,
it feels as though time is like going so very slow because I do not want to be doing this. So
yeah,
that's when it opens up. Well, what do you want to do?
hmm
You know, but we got this programming that thinks that we got to do this, we got to do this, when we got to do
yeah,
this, and it's like we're all in this, in this matrix and thinking that we got to do something, and it's like, well, what is it that you want to do? Ask yourself. Some people are even afraid to ask themselves, what is it that you really want? Because they're like, well, now I'm wanting it, but can I really receive it? And then
mm,
again, that's where the coaching comes. That comes with the exploration. That comes to, did someone say something to you back when you were a kid that said that, oh, that's, a pipe dream. You can't
yeah,
have that. You can't do that. You can't make money doing that. And you're like, "Uh," and
yeah,
so that's
absolutely.
where the coaching comes in and helping to encourage people, inspire them to be like, yes, you can absolutely have what you want, but is that really what you want? And that's the question. That's what people have
Mm,
to figure out. Yeah, but I'm glad you're here because, like, look, now
yeah.
we're having this conversation, and now you're, like I said, you're doing what you're doing. You're helping to create this magic and sending it out and connecting with people all over the world,
Yeah, absolutely. And loving every single day.
and
So what?
technically still serving.
Yeah, yeah. I hope to do that. So I've decided like I'm never gonna be retired with my life. I'm gonna do my business till my last breath and do the podcasting or like as whatever platform it comes in future because tech is always adapting and new thing is coming up. But message will be the same and
Yes,
the way connect with the people will be
yes,
different, but we're gonna do the same thing and let's see how it goes.
love that.
Yeah. So in terms of
Well,
like when someone comes to you like for help and hire you as a life coach, what do you like help on at the beginning to figuring out about themselves? What's the steps you take normally?
yes. So in the beginning, it's really just having that first conversation.
Hmm.
I can hear their frustration and sharing, because what happens many times, Razul, is that people don't even get to even talk.
Yeah,
They don't even express what it is that's inside of them. Hey,
and
how
they
you
don't know
doing this
themselves, right?
time? Right.
Yeah,
And so it's like, are you really, listening? And so just hearing people to be able to talk. And that's why, I had people where they have conversations. It's just like, have you noticed that you said trying like 15 times in this
Yeah.
conversation? And like, it could be like in 10 minutes. And are you aware that trying means this, and this? And that could just be the aha moment that someone has,
Mm.
like, oh, like, wow, okay. And then if they're changing the vocabulary in that. And so what I realized for me, which used to be, a struggle, is that I can just have one conversation with the person,
Yeah.
especially as a coach, one conversation. You ask that one question, to someone, and it helps their life to ascend. It changes them. Like, wow, I never really thought
Hmm.
about that before. And then from there on, they think about it, which leads into the next thing, to the next thing. So it's like setting them on their golden brick road, their journey to
Yeah.
greater height. And so really it's just a conversation. It's a meeting.
Yeah.
And if with me having intuitive skills and ability, if they're just open to having what I call intuitive feedback,
Mm.
then it's like, okay, because that's the thing, is that's when we talk about strengths and perspective. I mean, strengths and character values and everything. Perspective, asking
Yeah.
questions is one of my strengths. I can just ask you a question and
And
give
what
you
do
the
you see
intuitive
like
feedback.
and what do you see like the main problem you see with the it's like most of your clients? So obviously everyone different. You're gonna see different. What's the
Doubt,
main thing like problem you see? Doubt.
doubt, unawareness of who
Right.
they are,
Hmm.
unawareness
Is
of who they are,
is it that doubt about
self
the
doubt,
features themselves? Like they
themselves,
can,
hmm
yeah,
their abilities.
right. It's a lack of
I'm,
confidence, isn't it?
hmm hmm It's the inner imposter. The imposter has taken up their hiding
Yeah.
themselves, but it becomes, are they hiding consciously or unconsciously? And
Hmm.
that's what a lot of people don't realize. And I think after having conversations with people, that's where I'm just kind of like, just
Yeah.
helping people to see themselves. Like,
Absolutely.
hmm like now I see you, and it's like most powerful
Hmm.
in this
Yeah.
moment. I'm sure you will now never forget that.
Yeah. I still don't feel myself most powerful.
And see, and like there is like the acceptance, like that's your name, that is who you are. But then that would be the ongoing like potential conversation, is like,
Yeah.
well, what is it that you're doubting about being most powerful? What is it that is not sitting right? Where are you not feeling powerful in your life? And see, that's where the next, conversation,
Mm.
next conference, because if you're hesitation about accepting that, then there's more exploration to that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, or it's like, oh yeah, that aligns, and then it's like, okay, then you can ask the next thing, and just clearing out those blockages that's keeping
Mm.
you, holding you back.
So how long do you think the process actually takes to figuring out who they are, what they need to be
Is
doing, and make the change?
Well, live smart is a life journey.
Right.
Like even now, I'm continuing to be on that path and continue to learn. Here's what I mean by that.
Yeah.
It's not like you go through all those steps. You're like, okay, I'm done. Boop, boop. That's not going to happen until we transition until back to the
Hmm.
spirit realm. Our physical bodies
Yeah.
transition. So you're always going to be on that journey, because as you get to a level, you're going to go to the next level. You're going to go to the next level. You're just going to keep ascending. That is the ultimate process. That is how it works.
Yeah.
So it never stops. You just keep getting better and better at it. For like, for example, the emotions is to say, it's never that you're not going to get angry or you're not going to get frustrated. But it's
Hmm.
like now what you can do is you can process through it faster. Felicia, what are you feeling this? Oh, you're frustrated. What are you frustrated about? I'm frustrated because this, and this. Whereas I could have been frustrated before, and then I'm frustrated for like 3 days and don't know why. And now I can say, I'm frustrated. Here's why. And then I can take the steps in order to, okay, how can I release that? Oh, I know
Yeah.
this, and this. And then I can send to the next level. So then we can continue to flow and move on. But a lot of
Yeah.
times what happens is people get stuck where they're at and don't know why, which is again, unawareness
Hmm.
about themselves.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So it's an individual thing and it's a lifelong journey, isn't it? To
It's a
figuring
lifelong
out.
journey, yes. But
Yeah.
I will say this: do you have people that are ready and open? Because usually what happens is that someone is so frustrated about something, which is
Yeah.
where I was. Okay, I am open to learning, to receiving, and that's what the spirit team's like. Yep, got your attention now. Okay, now you're ready. The student has appeared. The
Mm.
teacher has arrived. But wanting to teach someone a lesson that they are not ready to receive,
Yeah.
fruitless.
Yeah. It's
So when
true.
you're ready and you're desiring, you're wanting, like when you probably learned how to do podcasting first, because you was ready. So now I can watch this video, I can do this, I can learn this, and you can take in lots of information because
Mm.
you were ready.
Yeah.
Versus someone else that's like, mandatory training. I don't want to do this. They're not ready. So that process is going to take what?
Yeah. Finding excuses.
Longer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So
So
again,
yeah.
individualized.
Yeah. So did you have to like take any coaches or anyone to be accountable for your journey, or did you just do it yourself, everything?
Oh no, I gotten help.
All right.
Mm-hmm. So I had various, friends. I had various, like chaplains,
Mm-hmm.
coaches, that books, podcasts,
Yeah.
all the different things. So I went on a journey, but see, that was beneficial for me because ultimately my path was going to be a coach.
Yeah.
And so I went through that as an individual person of what does it feel like of not knowing necessarily where to go to get those resources?
Mm-hmm.
Who can I talk to? Who can I share my story with? And all of that. I had to go through that step because ultimately that's what led me to being able to help people to live smart because I had to go
Yeah.
through it as an individual. And so that's the beauty somewhat of coaching is that when you connect with someone that's like, oh, wow, I had a similar journey. Yes, I feel like I always had to do everything perfect. I had to do all this. And how am I going to live as a Christian wife? And then, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm finding myself growing in this other spiritual aspect of it. It doesn't align with this program that I've gotten. So, like, when you're figuring that all out, having a coach is
Yeah.
saying, I've sort of been where you are. I can help cut some of this process down to be able to help guide you with that. And that's why I knew me being a coach is because I experienced it, but then I knew how to ask the right questions for people in order so that
Mm.
it doesn't have to be struggling for so long in a certain phase.
Yeah.
And so that's the beauty of having a coach is that they can help you a little longer. You're kind of like, tell me what your experience, and then helping them guide them like, yep, you're not
Yeah.
crazy, you're not this, here's what this is, and guiding them along with that. But
Yeah.
that
It
was
gets
just suited for
easier, isn't
me.
it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It makes the journey easier. Like when you're trying to do yourself, everything, you don't know where to
Exactly.
start. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we are running out of the time for this podcast.
Yes.
So if you wanna share your last few words for our audience, go ahead.
Yes. So my final words would be encouraging you to live smart and ascend
Mhm.
to new levels of success. If you're wanting to learn more about that or you're interested in working with me, just visit my website, sevenfoldcoaching.com,
Yeah,
where when you go there, if, for example, hey, I want to learn what are my character values, what are my strengths, or how do I deal with this imposter syndrome, sign up for the free stuff. You get access and an assessment that will help you to discover more about who you are and help you to see yourself and awaken.
yeah, that's great. And you
Yeah.
have your social media as well, so if they can reach out to
Yes.
your social media.
Yes. So LinkedIn, visit
Yeah,
me there at Felicia Miller Johnson. Connect with me on LinkedIn. And also I am on Instagram, Sevenfold Coaching.
yeah, that's great. Thank you so much for
Yes.
that. So I
Thank you
really
so much.
appreciate you for coming to our show and sharing your expertise. And that's like a great value you
Thank you for
provided for our
asking the
audience.
questions.
You're most welcome. That's my job to do. Like find find out best important Bollywood gold you have inside you is to take them out and share with the audience. I
Yeah.
wish you good luck with your journey and with your
Thank
career
you.
as well, and hope you do well with everything. So thanks again.
Same with you. Thanks, Rizal. most
You're most
powerful.
welcome. Thank you.
You're
All right,
welcome.
guys, that's a wrap. So I'll see you next episode. Till then, stay safe, stay healthy. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.